Good morning. It's 9 o'clock a.m., January 10th, 2024, on a Wednesday. Wednesday. It's the day that knees get wedded to each other. Oh, where did that come from? That was so spur of the moment. All right, moving along. I've got audio confirmation. I'm going to unmute internal audio so that SpeakerBot can be hoid. I have one email to, is it fair to say that I'm responding to this when it's an email from me to me? Well, when I looked over chat yesterday after the show ended, oh, by the way, today's show might end early unless people have some topics brought up in chat. I'm not going to be making up topics today, but anyway, yesterday, Zavi Manor put in a chat message that I didn't see until after the show was over. He said, instead of using Crystal Disk Info for Smart Info, try this HDD scan. So I did go and look at that. Now, I've got it in here twice because this one is the YouTube link. So it has all that extra YouTube clutter in the link. This one goes straight to the website, HDD scan, test your hard drive. And I wanted to point this out because that's something Crystal Disk Info does not do. Crystal Disk Info does not do any testing. All it is doing is showing the information that that the hard drive is reporting through the Smart Info. This is a freeware software for hardware diagnostics, RAID arrays, servers, flash USB.
John Williams
SSD
said we got
drive.
9 inches of snow yesterday and last night.
9 inches of snow for John Williams. There we go. I did not have 9 inches here. Okay. The program can test storage devices for errors, bad blocks, bad sectors. So this sounds good for somebody who's wanting to check the condition of storage media. It's been so long since I've come across a need to do that. So I won't be going down that road myself. And all I use Crystal Disk Info for is to look up the Smart Info to see what's being reported. If there's anything that's being reported as marginal or not working properly, then I replace the drive. They're just not expensive enough to warrant spending time on them. However, if you want to check, for instance, RAID arrays and server drives, that might more justify spending the time on it. I've got some server drives that are very expensive drives, and those would be worthwhile doing this on. We'll get to some screenshots of this program. That's the Smart Info, the tests, and the tools. That's pretty easy to understand. I love it when a user interface is simple to comprehend. Capabilities and requirements. And showing the various different tests that it does and the smart information. Additional features, reading and analyzing identity information, changing, yada, spindle, stop, start, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Oh, here's a bunch of screenshots. These arrows down here can click to go to the next one. I think this is going to be showing us what the test actually looks like while it's running. These this looks like Sudoku, right? I remember back in the days of the older, the really big RLL drives and what was it? MFM? Was that one of the names? And ESDI drives. I remember we had some tools that we would use for testing them and examining them, and they looked like that. All right. I'm not like, well, there's the smart information, and we recognize that similar to what we see in Crystal Disk Info. So I'm going to come over to chat in a minute, and we'll probably be ending the show early unless there is topics that come up in chat for us to talk about. Enough of that. Pop out chat. Yes, I'm actually wearing a jacket today. Not because there's snow inside my house. That's not what's happening. We had some conversation in chat before the show started between Dennis and I, and a few other people got involved, where he had a copyright claim on his Twitch broadcast of Fortnite this morning. The copyright claim was because I did a thing in his chat room that shared my subscription to his Twitch channel, and it played music on his computer. So that got broadcast into his Twitch recording, and he got a copyright notice for that. Really? Wow. So Alice was actually, no, Lana Dro was first in chat. Lana's original message isn't showing up here. She was there in there around 7 a.m. this morning. Switch there and see if I can get back to it. Nope, can't get back to it. Do I see it over there? No, I don't even see it in OBS, but Lana Dro was there first. Alice says, hi everyone, how's everyone doing? And I said hello to Lana and Alice. Let Dennis know that I replayed my recording of that part of our show and there was no music. So he tells me where it was at. And I'm not going to play it for you now because I will get a copyright notice for it. And Ida was checking out the trailer. She thought that we were talking about the trailer. So let's get on to a little bit of conversation about coffee here. And I'm noting that I had Alice and Ida and Lana all in the chat room at the beginning of the show. Wonderful to have you ladies here. Thank you. Josh, hi everyone. Dennis isn't too bothered by that copyright issue. Weather report from Selden Ball. Ida, as we say here, you are like a Hail Mary between all women. Don't know if that will make sense in English. Oh well. If that's like a meme from somewhere, Hail Mary between all women, I don't know what that is. But thank you. Carl J, hello. I heard the storms will be over Indiana. Hope Ken and Mrs. K will be okay. Certainly, hope so. I heard him last night on his show, said he won't have any premieres today or any shows today until tonight. So I don't have any shows triggered for redirect. 9 inches of snow. Odin Woden Wednesday. Oh, that's my Wednesday comments, I guess. John Williams, pays to have a good snowblower. Lawn Dog, do I get a late penalty? I didn't catch the name of that hard drive testing program or website. Oh, yes, it is hddscan.com. Very simple name. Somebody, wow, scored big to get that domain name. hddscan.com. I don't think you even need me to put in a link for that, do you? Supposed to get 125 centimeters. I was about to say cubic meters. No. 125 cubic meters of snow. Huh. And lows close to negative 30 degrees centigrade. Oh my gosh. Yeah, looks like Minesweeper. That's better. Yes, that yeah, Minesweeper is more accurate to what that was looking at. Better name than Sudoku. Oops, 12 to 15. 12 to 15 centimeters of snow. Yeah, 125 centimeters of snow. That's a lot more. Greg, Ann, that sounds like nearly 3 feet of snow or more. Remember, I'm silly American, have to ask my digital assistant. Thanks for the correction. 5 or 6 inches. That sounds more reasonable. Chris Garrett says, the Windows Update issue causing problems with Windows recovery partition. Yeah, Windows Update. Yesterday was the second Tuesday of the month. I forgot to mention that. So Windows Update issue causing problems with Windows recovery partition. We had somebody yesterday reporting they had a red indicator on their recovery partition. Could that have been related? Some computers might not have a recovery partition that is large enough to complete this update. Oh, Because of this, the update for WinRE might fail. In this case, you will receive the following error message: Windows recovery environment servicing failed. Okay, so let's go look at my computer has not triggered the update yet. I want update settings. Restart required. Oh, I don't have any. Oh, there's the orange. I do have them. I am flagged for a restart. Do you want me to do it now? Do you think it'll interrupt the stream? I don't see an update for recovery environment. See if that already came. 12.13 is the last updates. So maybe I'm not needing it. Some computers might not have a recovery partition large enough. Let's see if it is for Windows 10 and 11. Windows 11 version 21H2. Well, WinVer, I'm 22H2. So that would imply that is not going to affect me. Insufficient disk space. Do they tell us what to do? Prerequisites, removal, information, no. Yeah, I was wondering if they would tell us to increase the size of that partition. Instructions to manually resize your partition to install the update. So yes, they are. RE agent. Disk part, list disk, select disk, shrink desired. Okay, so you're shrinking the operating system partition. Yeah, that makes sense. See, I'd be more inclined to do it from disk management. Let's go take a look at this. Do 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 do. Boy, there's a lot of stuff in chat. Do updates come out every Tuesday? Alice asked. No, the second Tuesday of the month is what we affectionately call Update Tuesday. And typically, not all computers will get the updates on Tuesday. I've seen some that they don't show up till the next day or two, but like for me, I didn't even notice it from yesterday. Maybe it was showing yesterday. So recovery partition. Here's recovery partition out here. So they were saying take your operating system and make it
John
smaller,
Williams said some Windows 10 says the security update failed and caused an error code. Win 11 had no problem. Patch Tuesday.
Yeah, so John just said some Windows 10 said the update failed. And this had just told us here Windows 11. So some Windows 10 may be having the same problem. These are not always perfectly accurate as far as what versions they say will be affected. It would be, well, let's see, Windows 10 didn't get a 22H2, right? Or 21H2. That's 3 years ago. January 9th, 2024, 21H2. So there's 21, 22H1 and 22H2, then 23H1. Right? Isn't there? Wasn't there? I don't know.
Chris Garrett said some people might get confused with the OEM recovery.
I don't know what you mean by that, Chris. So here I could come and shrink this. I could shrink this volume by a certain amount of
John
space.
Williams said I have 22H2 for Windows 10.
Then increase this one. Okay, I'll go check on what you're saying here current. Let's see, 905 is where I'm jumping from. Lawn Dog went update yesterday was without a problem. There's a Microsoft article. IDA is 22H2 in both computers, so they weren't affected. Josh says his computer's Ant does have that problem. Didn't really seem like much of an update other than requiring a reboot.
Chris Garrett said LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts OEM recovery like HP, Dell, ET, DOH.
Okay. The recovery partition.
John Williams said, I have 23H2 for Windows 11.
Okay. Yeah, you're throwing too much at me right now. 23H2 for Windows 11. Yeah, and that's what I had, right? No, 22H2. 23H2. Now, wait a minute. Why am I at 22H2? Have I been putting off a 23H2? Oh, 23H2 was at the end of last year. There's only one thing about Microsoft delaying updates. One possible reason is some people are experimenting on to some extent. After those particular computers come back with negative results, Microsoft put an update on hold for those models. Security update failed on my computer too for Selden Ball. The other three parts of the update applied okay. Greg M, is this issue only for 21H2? And if so, why is the computer still on 21H2? Yeah. So that would perhaps be a reason why they didn't catch it. Is 21H2 even still in support? However, they determine what a particular computer is. They will hold it back once enough feedback comes their way. It failed on Selden Ball's Windows 10 22H2. Now let's get back here and look at this link from Wintermute. Windows Recovery Environment Update for Windows 10 21H2 and 22H2. Okay, so this is for Windows 10. The other one I had was for Windows 11. This is 4440, 4441. So that's why this one was, this KB number was probably for Windows 11. This KB number was for Windows 10. So they're addressed as separate issues. So that's why back here, when this says Windows 11, it was incorrect for me to think that that was, problem was only going to be for Windows 10. That's where, oh, there's where I was. 22H2 was released over a year ago. Yeah, but somebody mentioned 23H2. Yeah, there. Jim's late. I'm thinking this is probably Jim's latest video, an unboxing of his new laptop, I think. Moving Windows profile from old laptop to new laptop using PC data back. All right, I will check that out. Thank you, Jim. Only patches since then, no major update. Selden saying since the 22H2. Yeah, Windows 10 didn't do any major updates since then. Greg M, on LawnDog to Greg M. Sounds like they need to add some code to detect which version of Windows installed. Well, certainly Windows Update knows that, but they didn't put in the code to prevent it from trying to update the recovery environment. Oh, somebody's mentioning, Chris is mentioning Carrie doing streams. I didn't check. Let's see if he's got a stream scheduled today. In 2 hours, certainly he does. Well, let's go configure that. Edit, customization, scroll down to redirect. And he's usually near the top. There it is, today's date. All right, the fix is in. I'm going to kind of skip through a little bit here. Origin of Wednesday is Woodensday. Oh, so Wednesday, are you saying the word Wednesday comes from Woodensday? In English, the name derived from Old English Woodnesdag and Middle English Wednesday, Day of Wooden, reflecting the religion practice of the Anglo-Saxons, the English equivalent to Norse god Odin. More on that here. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. Interesting. Thank you. Scanning, scanning, scanning. Richard Rogers, hello. You're welcome, Lawn Dog. Scheduled for today. Does have a show today. 2 updates. Ida did 2 updates with no problem. Tried to increase my recovery environment partition, then tried to install and it still failed. The copyright claim. Oh, Dennis, thank you for that clarification. The copyright claim was on YouTube, not on Twitch after you exported and uploaded to YouTube. Got it. That makes sense. See, it would seem really weird for me for Twitch to give you a copyright claim on a sound that's generated by Twitch. Why is Microsoft even messing with the recovery partition? It's been my schooling the recovery partition is made during the installation process. I think they're telling us here, and my understanding is the recovery partition is utilized to accomplish a Windows update. So if the Windows update needs more space to accomplish the update, then it needs more space. So do they actually identify that here? The recovery partition, some computers might not have a recovery partition that is large enough to complete the update. The purpose, the function of the recovery partition is it is part of completing the update. When you do the reboot, I suspect part of that code is happening in the recovery partition, because you can't modify code that's on the active partition. So when it restarts, perhaps it's actually starting to some degree in the recovery partition in order to write changes to your boot drive. I think it's along those lines. 21H2, grossly out of date. Windows 10 in the past, if I recall correctly, Microsoft doesn't mess with it. Yet usually, even in this time, it's not messing with it, but it's always been used, is my understanding. Recovery partition has always been used when needed to accomplish an update. Do updates come out every Tuesday? Let's see, we talked about that. Once a month, the second Tuesday of every month. So that's not always the second. It's not always following the second Monday of the month. So like sometimes when you're scheduling backups or scheduling system restore save points, it's a little tricky to schedule those. John Williams, let's see, we already talked, that came over Audible. People saying hello to each other. I increased to 800 megabytes in the update work from Wintermute to Chris. What was the size of mine? We just looked at that. 500 megabytes. Skimming through. There's one thing about Microsoft delaying updates. One possible reason people experimenting. I already looked at that. Get past that. Okay, this gets back into the section that I had skipped ahead for. I guess we did find something else to talk about.
Chris Garrett said, yes, MS started using R repetition a while back.
Okay. I'm sure you're clear on what you intended to communicate there. Microsoft started using recovery environment partition a while back. Yeah, it's been around for a long time. They created it. That kind of implied that it was there and Microsoft just started using it. But yeah, recovery partition has been been around for quite a while. And it's always been there because Microsoft wanted it. Have you ever seen Microsoft mess with? Hi, you skipped my comment from yesterday about alternative. I started the show today with that, Zavi. I actually started the show today with that. You weren't watching. I started the show by saying that I found that after the show was over, and I showed my email to myself about your comment, and I talked about it, and I showed it. I did that. I guess you weren't here to watch that. And thank you for that, by the way. So I made my comments about it at the beginning of the show. If you want to, well, I guess basically I'm saying it's a good tool. It does testing, which Crystal
Chris Garrett said I meant for Windows Update.
Oh, he's saying to start using it for Windows Update. I don't know if they ever didn't use it for Windows Update. Maybe. Suppose we don't care. Do we really care when they start using it for Windows Update? It seems to me like it would be something that had always been useful for them for Windows Update. Supposedly the failing patch is to BitLocker, which I don't use. It's been my experience when using the recovery partition built into Windows. What happens is you start all over from that point. When that recovery partition was created and whatever version your machine was at that time, absolutely no updates were added during the time from the original install. Silden Ball, let's see, recovery environment. Is this the same one that we saw? Yeah, this is the same one we saw earlier. This is the same text message where he provided that earlier. It makes kind of no sense how you can inject code into recovery partition successfully because you would have to
John
analyze
Williams
what
said,
is in that.
what is the difference between security update and intelligent security update?
All right, we'll go look at that in a minute, John. Would you inject code into recovery partition successfully because you would have to analyze what's in that recovery partition, the exact version, and all the updates that's missing. Think about it. You might be misunderstanding what the recovery partition is, and should I start talking about it since I haven't researched it deeply? If the going to mask, it's not a backup. It's not an image backup of an earlier state of your computer. If the going to mask the recovery partition to keep you updated, then they would have to do it on every update we get every month and everything in between. That doesn't happen. Let's wait and see what happens. No, I think what's happening is, think of it like like when I'm doing I've demonstrated when I do a macrim reflect recovery, restore, it actually uses the Windows recovery environment. It restarts the computer in that recovery environment. It's a very slimmed down Windows desktop where it can make modifications to the boot drive because we're not booted on the boot drive, we're booted into the recovery partition. But it's not a backup. It could restore your computer to original factory state. If it's a major brand manufacturer, I think that includes the content that's needed to restore the computer to original manufacturer's state of
Chris
Windows.
Garrett said at John Williams, the intelligent security update is smarter.
I think that's a joke. Maybe we can find an explanation. I entered just now. Sorry. Yeah, no problem, Zavi. I understand. Yeah, Dave, you're not obligated to be here at the beginning, but I just want to let you know I did see that, and thank you for it. Security. Now, what's the difference between security update and an intelligent security update? Let's go look at this, because I think you're talking about security update and intelligent security update. Don't we get to see that in here in history? These are quality updates. Collapse that. Definition updates. Security intelligence update. Security intelligence update, to me, in my mind, I'm thinking Windows Defender, Microsoft Defender. And that's all in there. A security update would be an update that's related to the computer security, but not specifically Windows Defender or Microsoft Defender. They use those words so interchangeably. Let's see down here. Here we have Windows Intelligence Update. So now they're using the word intelligent, not with security, but with Windows Intelligence. Do we get security update in here somewhere? That doesn't include the word intelligence. In quality updates, we get cumulative updates. So quality updates are separate from security in my mind. So I don't see security used in there anywhere. Definition updates, driver updates is probably not going to have anything about security mentioned. No. Let's collapse definition updates. So none of these actually said straight out security updates. Wintermute, I think security update is for operating system intelligence. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my impression of it. It's smarter. Chris. Maybe I did get kind of sidetracked on recovery partition because of OEM recovery partitions. Recovery partitions like 500 megabytes. So it is used to get the machine back into shape to run by a second copy of the boot sectors. I like to think of it as just a very slimmed down Windows desktop that can make surgical modifications to your normally bootable operating system. All right, I think that's good. I think I'm caught up on chat. I think I went back and covered everything. It is what Doug is saying, a slimmed down version to fall back on and get the machine back up and running. Yeah, okay, very good. Got to redirect to Kerry Holzman, and have a happy Wednesday, everybody, and I'll get my computer restarted sometime later today. Yeah. Goodbye.